Traders. I'm Dennis Dick.
And I'm Joel Elconin. Welcome to Pre-Market Info.
This market is not bouncing, it just continues to grind lower. We are up half a point this morning, but when are we going to see a bounce? Earnings from DELL, The Gap, Sears Holdings, and Foot Locker. We've also got Penn National Gaming breaking up into two companies. They're going to break up into a REIT and a gaming operator. This is lifting a lot of your casino stocks here this morning. And Nike announces a 2-for-1 stock split. Joel, let's start with the overall market.
Well, Dennis, for all our bottom pickers out there, you do have a potential double bottom in the market. We made a low at 13.45 and a quarter yesterday. They slammed it down on Globex to 13.44.50, and now we are getting a nice bounce. So,
we are getting a bit.
Yep,
It's making
right
me out a liar.
Yeah, well, you never know with the way this market moves. I don't see much on the upside up to 13.59 here. Now, that's another 6 points away. That was the high that we had yesterday. That's our first major resistance point on the way out. Wouldn't try and lay out any shorts until we got to that level. But then if we get above 13.59, Dennis, then we're going to get your little rally for you.
It is option expiration day today too, so expect more volatility, especially off the open. A lot of times what you have is individual stocks with large buy imbalances or large sell imbalances as institutions are jockeying and working their option positions against the actual equities themselves. So don't be surprised if you do see some pretty decent volatility off the open here. Let's move on to Apple, because Apple, like we thought, had a very bad day yesterday. We were saying on the show it had hung out too long here at this 535 area to 540 and was looking like it was probably going to break down. That is exactly what happened. The stock broke down, got to a low of 522.62, has bounced a bit off that. It's bouncing a couple points this morning, 527.92. What's your take here on Apple?
Well, you're looking for a V bottom here, Dennis. This just may be it. We hit 522.62 yesterday, hit 521.48 in the pre-market. We are 5 points away from that. I think if you're trying to pick a bottom here in this stock, you use that as a reference point, maybe a few points below. Coming back on the upside, there's really not much there to speak of. You had that old double bottom at 536. In change. So I would look at that as minor resistance. I'd use that as a place to exit along. I don't know if I'd try and lay a short out there. Maybe wait for 539.50, which was yesterday's high.
Yeah, hard to say here. We thought that they would take it through that 533 low, just so you know that they're going to end the 530 area, because they knew there was a lot of people leaning on that area. Whenever there's a lot of people leaning on a specific reference point, it usually gets taken out just because there's too many short-term participants that are going to drive it that way, and they get nervous. And that's what we had here, is the shakeout and the fall down yesterday. Valuation-wise, Apple seems to be okay, but sentiment still is not good on the stock.
Oh, just that valuation. Don't give me
I know.
That's like, that's like when we say, swing numbers, valuation, whatever. It's just such an obscure term,
Well, it's true, but you do have a lot of people that are in this thing for value. So, but I still think you're at 525 now. I don't think the downside is done. I think you could get a bounce in it. You are seeing one here this morning. But, even though I'm bullish on the valuation, I'm still not overly bullish on the technicals of the stock. There's still a hell of an ugly downtrend there that's intact. I mean, yesterday's washout there was a washout, but I think, we're starting to get dangerously close to that 500 as we start to continue to move down. If it does, then the stock, obviously, that $500 becomes like a magnet to the stock as well. But I think we're due for a bounce. We're seeing one here a little bit in Apple this morning, so we'll have to see where it goes.
They didn't shake you out of your short put then, huh?
I'm still I still got a long-term short put written on the thing. But not loving that position here. I wrote it up there at when the stock was around 538. So not loving that position, but at the same time, that's an investment. That's my investment portfolio. That's not a trade. So from a trading perspective, I think it could still go lower. But from a valuation perspective, I still like the stock. DELL, DELL, reported last night. Stock initially got a lift off the earnings report and then turned around and sold off. $9.32 is where it's trading right now. It reported 39 cents against estimates of 40, so they missed by a penny. But you got to respect all these lows we've had in November. In this whole 912, 915 area, we have multiple lows here, really putting in a base.
You got a spike in the pre-market, believe it or not, over the $9. 9.83 is where the spike
That
went
was
to.
after hours when they
Yeah,
initially
after
reported.
hours, and then reality set in here, and we've sold off and made a low in the after hours at 9.19. I think on this one you just have to look at the dailies. Just have some major resistance here at 9.70. I think you use that as a reference point if you get a pop up. And also basically you had identical ranges the last 2 days. 970 and 940 and 941 were the lows. Use those as parameters now. We are trading below the 940, so that will be resistance. But boy, I mean, these stocks have just, Dow, Hewlett Packard, what a just slow, miserable death these stocks are going through.
Yeah, they're PC stocks. We know the PC is not in a good business here with all your mobile devices eating their lunch. Apple's ate their lunch. It's just, we haven't loved the PC on this show for the better part of a year, and I'm going to continue to not like the PC. Every bounce you get in these things is usually just an opportunity to sell. But that being said, Dell has put a nice buy on that whole 910 to 915 area, so if it drifts down there, maybe that still remains support. The Gap, GPS, reported earnings. They came in line 63 cents against estimates of 63 cents. Same store sales were rocking and rolling though, up 6%. So the stock is trading up a buck in the pre-market, actually a buck 70 in the pre-market now, just ticked up to 34.90. If you look there from 2 days ago, the high was 34.87, but the real resistance, if the stock really starts to roll up at that 36, is absolutely enormous.
Yep, Gap's had a nice run here. The initial pop in the pre-market took it to 35.20, trading 30 cents below that. After hitting that 35.20 high, we came back and found some real good support at 34.30. I know that's a ways away from here, but if you are playing the Gap from the long side and take out 34.30, you may be in for some rough sledding. That $35 level, you had that high at 34.87. That's still relevant. Things do open up in that 35 handle right up to that 35.87 high, which was the high on November 7th.
Sears Holding reports earnings, and they weren't good. Looks like they took some tips from J.C. Penney there because same-store sales were down 3% here. That's really what's knocking the stock down. The earnings they lost a buck 99. They were supposed to lose 218, so they actually beat, if you can call losing $2 a share a beat. $55 is where the stock is trading right now. It's down 6%. I've got to tell you, this 55 number, it's interesting that's trading right there in the pre-market. Absolutely enormous for the stock. Go back to late September, early October, you had 5, 6 lows almost on the button there around that $55 area.
Yeah, looking at the pre-market though, you did cut through that by quite a bit to 53.21. That 55, I see what you're talking about there on the chart. Doesn't look as relevant to me as it. I mean, I do see some lows there before, but it definitely cut through there quite a bit in October. I'd be looking at this the three lows between 53.46 and 53.89 to be major support. That coincides just above the pre-market low at 53.21. So 55, it just doesn't look as good to me. Coming back on the upside, there is consolidation at 55. The next level after that would be getting into yesterday's range, 57.80, but that's quite a ways away.
More retailers reporting. Foot Locker reported earnings. Stock is up. It's trading 33.40 right now after closing at 31.85. So nice lift here for Foot Locker.
Yeah, 15,000 shares have traded. The initial pop that you got took it to 34.18. Reality is set in here a little bit. It's come back down to 33.40. 33 did look big on the chart, so since we busted above there, I would use that as support. But that 33 to 34, that buck there, it doesn't look like there's much
Nothing
in
in there.
between. Yep, nothing in there.
Nothing in there between 33 and 34. Nike announcing a 2-for-1 stock split here this morning. They also increased the quarterly dividend, up to 21 cents from 18 cents a quarter. Stock is trading up only on 500 shares this morning. 92.35 is where it's finding a home. So up about a buck and a half on the stock split news.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much that, I mean, it just doesn't do a whole lot for me. It comes back down to this $91 level. That'd be good support, 90.78. Spike on the pre-market here is 92.35. Not much volume associated with that at all. Look at 93.20. That was a high on November 12th to be your first resistance point.
We got the Penn National Gaming is announcing that they are splitting the company into two separate companies, a REIT, a gaming operator. Going to be a special dividend in there. It's looking like they're supposedly unlocking value here, and the market is absolutely loving it. The stock is up at $52 right now after closing at 37, so it's up 38% on this news. We got to go out. Is that an all-time high for the stock? Oh no, we got to go back out to
No.
2008 though to find numbers here for you.
Well, we're trading right at $52 in the pre-market. We made a high at 52.44. But, frankly, Dennis, I mean, this is bullshit. I mean, you have a stock here that's absolutely gotten reamed. Coming down from over $46. You make a double bottom here, 37.02. And all of a sudden they pull something like this out of the hat. I mean, why did they do it at any of these other times when the stock is sliding? I don't know. If I own this stock, okay, at any time over the last, 6 months to a year, and you have this pop, $52, I would say you can have my stock.
Oh yeah.
You've unlocked the value.
Oh yeah.
I would do it. I'm not saying to go out and short this thing, but I mean, they're still the same company. They still have the same earnings. They're still a gaming company. They still got their business model is still people losing money gaming. I don't know. I just these things. I mean, a couple other companies have done it, and it just doesn't settle well with me.
Yeah, if I own these shares, I'd be right along with you. I'd be like, sold to you, sold to you. But yeah, it's hard to come out here and just short the thing. I mean, the thing just popped up to 52 from 37. I mean, it could go to 53, it could go to 54. Hell, it could go to 60. Who
No
really
way.
knows? But
It's gonna go back. This thing
it's
won't even settle.
probably
It probably won't open over 50. It probably won't get over 50. I mean, how can these kind of things happen? This is like an icon Ackman move.
yeah, agreed with you. Long term, I think the thing goes lower. Short term, I'm way too scared to try to pull and pick where the top is on this thing now. And it is lifting your other casino gaming stocks here as well. Las Vegas Sands is trading up a buck and a half here on this. Plus, they actually got some favorable comments at Deutsche Bank. They said the risk reward's looking good for Las Vegas Sands. So it gets a little bit of favorable comments, but the whole casino sector is lifting here on this Penn news.
Yeah, I wouldn't get, like I said, I wouldn't get too carried away. They're not unlocking any kind of hidden value here. 42.19 was the high in the pre-market. Traders should be aware of that level. After that, things open up to Wednesday's high of 42.73.
I drew a trend line there too from last month when the stock topped out right around 47
Yep.
bucks all the way down to the 41. The top of that trend line is right around that number where you're talking about, that 42.10, 42.20 area. So if you're looking at that trend and wanting to sell at the top of the trend, that's where it is. But look out for the value unlocking. MGM also trading up substantially higher on this. Here's an interesting one, Joel. It's at $9.91, but look at that $10.05 level, 10.05, 10.06, where we had that double top from 6-7 trading sessions ago.
Yeah, and it's backed up by 10.15 also. That was the high on the 8th. I mean, once again, you're getting a nice pop in these stocks, based on one company doing something. The high in the pre-market got right to that $10 level. So I'm sure there's going to be some offers there in the book between 10 and 10.15.
Boyd Gaming lifting on it too. BYD. Check this chart out there, Joel. October, this thing was over $7. In a month and a half, it's basically been halved down to $4.76. And here you got a lift. Stocks trading up to $5.08 here. Again, this is similar to the MGM. You had a double top, similar sessions, 507, 508, back on November 13th, November 14th. So coming right in to an area where it had resistance before.
Yeah, I keep an eye on that. The 1,500 shares have traded,
Yeah,
so
it's hard to
not
say.
a whole lot there. 508's the high. Uh, all those tops, 507 to 510, good resistance. Be looking at 527 after that.
Well, let's go back and look at the overall market here once again. I said at the beginning of the show there's no bounce. Well, now it's 4 points higher, so we're bouncing. Maybe they just heard when I said no bounce, the market got mad at me and bounced at 4 points here. But we are on option expirations. Sometimes these option expirations tend to be skewed to the upside where there'll actually be buy imbalances coming in, which pushes the market basically up for the first 10 or 15 minutes of trading, and a lot of times after that it caves. Could that happen today?
Uh, Anything can happen in this market, Dennis. I just would keep an eye on that 1359 level if you're playing things from the long side. That'll be the resistance area. If we get above 1359, things really open up. We're trading above the close here. 1351 is our close, so keep an eye on that as support. And then the all-important double bottom at 1344.5 to 1345.25.
Well, that's our show for today. Good luck on this option expiration Friday, and we will be back with you guys on Monday. Have a great week.